from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling toll-free 1-877-Newsmax. That's 1-877-639-7629. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Steve Malzberg Show. And I got to tell you, I was so proud of watching MSNBC the other day and on the Melissa Harris Perry show. Truth be told, I wasn't watching the show. I found this story written up by our good friend Noel Shepard, of course, at newsbusters.org. I can't do that to myself. I don't know how Ron Christie sat there on the panel, but we welcome in Ron Christie, longtime political analyst, filled in for me on this show a couple of times, and CEO of Christie Strategies. Hey, Ron, how are you?
Steve, my friend, how are you? It's good to talk to you.
Yeah, good to talk to you. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you. I got to tell you, you sat there, and I want to play something here. This is Cut 31. I believe this is the former executive director of the Congressional Black Caucus, Angela Rye, given the usual mantra, the usual talking points against the Tea Party. Here it is.
And I was just thinking, to me, in 2010, the Republican infighting took a particularly dangerous tone because it wasn't just about infighting anymore. It was about taking our country back with the resurrection of the Tea Party. And it was very, very racial, whether any of them will admit it or not.
Racial, absolutely. I will not sit here and allow you to say that. The Tea Party came in. There were 63 people who came in 2010 because the government grew too much because no. I will not allow people to sit here and say there's a racial aspect to it. That is absolutely
absolutely false. All right. And what she was talking about, Ron, I guess specifically, or what she would bring up after the commercial break was, this nonsense that when they passed the health care bill and Nancy Pelosi led all the Democrats with the gavel through the Capitol, up the steps or whatever, down the steps, that people spit on John Lewis and called him the N-word, right?
That's basically it. And I have to tell you, Steve, I was actually there that day, and that's what gets me the most about all of this. If you have to take what she said, there are 2 steps to it. The first part, she said that there was a racial overtone to it and it was a dangerous turn. Well, the dangerous turn was the fact that, yes, we did want to take our country back from an arrogant, elite, out-of-touch group of politicians who rammed through the health care bill. We haven't had a bill since the entitlement expansion since the Great Society of 1960s. And I'm talking about Medicare. I'm talking about the Voting Rights Act of 65, Civil Rights Act of 64. Those passed on a wide bipartisan basis. Obamacare rammed right through. And it was remarkable what we saw in 2010 with the American people who rose up, and we had 63 seats gained in the House, which got us a majority. We got 6 seats in the United States Senate. We had 680 Republicans elected to the state legislature. We had 29 out of the 50 states, the governorships were in Republican hands, and you had half of the state legislatures under Republican control, all after Obamacare passed. So, yes, we wanted to take the country back, and I hardly find that to be racial.
Yeah, neither do I. And here, I want to play for the folks Cut 33, Will, when she made her accusation and you confronted her, and this was priceless. Here's Cut 33.
I'm curious, were you there that day?
No, I was not there that day.
I was actually there that day. I was doing a stand-up for MSNBC. I was actually out talking with Tea Party people. I actually saw John Lewis walk out to go to the Capitol to vote. I did not hear the N-word being turned.
I'm sorry you didn't hear it.
Well, even and John Lewis has never said on camera. Reporters have asked him, "Did people call you the N-word?" He has
and
not
most
said
of the
anything.
members have said that they will refuse to talk about that day because it was so insulting. They were going to preserve health care for
the only thing I can say to you is that I was there. I was standing there. I was listening. I didn't hear it.
I'm sorry.
So again, it's a difference of opinion. But for you, not having been there, and me actually having been there, when I've talked to the members myself, I was physically there.
I mean, to say that the members have agreed, they made a pact, they're not going to talk about it. They certainly have talked about it. But like you said, they haven't come right out and quoted anything or said I was spit on or here's when it happened. As a matter of fact, didn't somebody put out a reward? I mean, for a lot of money, some agency or maybe it was Breitbart at the time, saying if you have video or audio of any of this spitting or cursing or calling the N-word, I'll give you $100,000. And nobody's ever seen any of it.
Well, it's amazing to me, Steve. Our late friend Andrew Breitbart actually put out a $100,000 reward and said, if you have any video or audio recording that says the N-word, then I'll pay you. And in the era of the cell phone, in the era of the camera phone, in the era of, my goodness, I mean, I'm telling you, I was there that day. There were a lot of media cameras and radio crews around, and miraculously, no one heard the N-word. Now, the spitting incident, that is actually true. That was Congressman Emanuel Cleaver from Missouri. He was walking up the steps of the Capitol, and someone spit on him, and the Capitol Police, according to Politico, arrested him. But Cleaver said, "Oh, I'm not going to press charges." And, oh, by the way, there was no mention of any racial overtone to that. So for having been there and had to sit and listen to this woman try to lecture me about the N-word being thrown around, about how rude the Tea Party people were, Steve, these, as you know, these are some of the nicest people that came from all over the country. They were chanting, "Kill the bill, kill the bill,"
right.
And they were shaking hands, and they couldn't have been any nicer. I really enjoyed myself having the chance to talk to dozens of people that day.
And, Ron, you know, if someone had done this, as the accusation is, if one person did, and this is what always gets me, how would we, and I'm not conceding that it happened, but how do you even know who the person was? In other words, it could have been an Tea Party infiltrator kind of planted there, Democratic plant, whatever, designed to make the Tea Party look, bad. Or, I mean, that's common practice in rallies and whatnot. And in fact, all the rallies the Tea Party's been involved in, I've never seen an arrest. I recall one arrest when a black Tea Party member in St. Louis was beaten to a pulp by Union thugs. That was an arrest. But otherwise, I've never seen where a Tea Party rally, and there was some kind of other thing where people got really hurt. A Fox News reporter, if you recall, when a tent came down on him, he got beaten up. But I've never seen Tea Partiers get arrested at a Tea Party rally ever.
Well, your distinction is a really important one, because the gentleman we're talking about in St. Louis, not only was he beaten by a couple of white folks and a black gentleman, but the local NAACP chair in Missouri said he deserved it. He deserved what happened to him, versus, as you pointed out, I have never heard of anybody being arrested at a Tea Party rally, but the rally in particular with this individual, Angela Nye, who was on the Melissa Harris Perry show, who she wasn't there. I was on the Capitol complex, and I have to tell you, I saw "Don't Tread on Me" flags waving. I saw American flags waving. I heard people chanting "Kill the bill." People were in a great mood. And to take what I thought was participatory citizens at their best of saying, I'm coming to Washington, I want to make sure my representatives hear me, and to have these people try to turn it into some racial incident, I'm sorry, Steve, not only do I not believe that the N-word was thrown out, I think that these people are trying to delegitimize the Tea Party.
Why? Ron, we only got a minute and a half, so I don't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to get this question in. Why do you think, why do you think that even came up? Why are they still putting forth this accusation? And the accusation of Tea Partiers being racist is something that especially MSNBC promotes all the time.
Well, you and I both know that charges of racism are used to stop debate rather than to continue debate. And I don't think these people want to debate the issues and the merits, because the Democrats are going to go down to a drubbing in the next election cycle, because once again, the Tea Party represents active Americans who say we're taxed and spending too much in our government, and our government's not responsive to us. And what better way to try to shut them down than to call them racist? How
do you think Perry handled it? From what I saw, I was pleasantly surprised that she didn't step all over your answers. She let you go.
No. Melissa was very upset, actually. I mean, and you can watch her reaction. She said, this is important enough that we have to come back after the break.
Yeah.
And during the commercial break, she said, Ron, I have never seen you get that upset, so I really want you to have your say. She was very fair. But, I mean, again, you know me, Steve. I don't get mad on air. And to hear these scurrilous charges of racism, I am not going to take that to try to demean our party and the conservative movement.
Good for you. Very proud of you. We're proud to know you, Ron. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
Thank you, my friend. Merry Christmas.
You too. Merry Christmas. Ron Christie, political analyst, CEO of Christie Strategies, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Very, very great, I don't want to say performance, but, back and forth with Angela Rye. And, there are times you got to get angry, and you got to yell, and you got to scream. I mean, it just comes out that way. You can't always control your passion and your anger when you hear somebody sitting there lying. Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.